If you've been out for your daily exercise any time during the last 2 months, you'll no doubt have stopped and paid attention to the things in people's windows. You'll have probably seen many rainbows, but you might also have seen a bear, a stuffed dog, a cuddly cat, a sparkling unicorn, or some other animal or cuddly toy. The idea of putting these stuffed toys in people's windows is so that children have a safe way of having fun. You know, all children love to go on a bear hunt, and they like stopping and looking at all the different cuddly toys in people's windows that are put on display. Now, any of you know me will know that I'm a little strange. And whenever I'm on a walk, I also take note of all the animals that rather sadly are lying on the ground. I always take note of the hedgehog who has been run over. I always take note of the seagull that has had a fight with a car. I always take note of the small bird that has been the victim of some cat. And yet, in all my walks, I've never seen anybody stopping and paying any real attention to these animals' deaths. Yes, you know, people might be saddened by what they've seen, but I've never seen someone hold a minute's silence for a dead hedgehog. I've never seen anybody say a eulogy for a seagull. I've never seen someone contact the relatives of the sparrow that has just died. Yes, people might give these animals a passing glance, but none of us are deeply moved by their deaths or pay attention in any way. And yet the shocking thing is, God takes a note even of the smallest animal's death. For when Jesus was teaching his disciples, he taught us that not one sparrow is ignored by God when it dies and falls to the ground. Jesus said in Matthew 10, chapter 10, verse 29, Jesus said, "When birds are sold, 2 small birds cost only a penny, but not even one of the little birds can die without your Father knowing it." Jesus says that all of heaven holds a minute's silence when even the smallest of birds dies. God sees, God cares, God pays attention. Jesus tells us this not to teach us that God is a big fan of the RSPCA. Jesus tells us this because God is a big fan of us. Jesus said, "When birds are sold, 2 small birds cost only a penny, but not even one of the little birds can die without your Father's knowing it. God even knows how many hairs are on your head. So don't be afraid. You are worth much more than many birds." Jesus' point is this: God sees, God cares, God pays attention to everything that goes on in the life of his children. God values the life of the Christian believer far, 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 far more than the smallest of birds that falls to the ground. Jesus reminds us that God even knows how many hairs are on your head. Such is God's love for me and for you. I have no idea what I will see when I walk out of my house tomorrow. I really hope that there are no hedgehogs injured in the middle of the road. None of you know what you're going to encounter when you walk out of your house tomorrow. It might be something good. It might be something bad. One thing we can know, whatever happens to us as we walk out of the house tomorrow, is that God knows, God sees, God cares, and God will be with me and with you, no matter what happens. If you are a Christian believer, what Jesus said is true for you. When birds are sold, not 2 small birds cost only a penny, but not even one of the little birds can die without your Father's knowing it. God even knows how many hairs are on your head. So don't be afraid. You are worth much more than many birds.